Welcome to the CEO Corner. Rishabh Malpani here, and I interview successful entrepreneurs to share their experiences, knowledge, and wisdom based on their entrepreneurial endeavors. In the CEO Corner today, we will be going over the journey of Barnsley Universal Inc., owner of the ATCO brand, who are one of the largest Middle East based stockists, suppliers, and installers of various intralogistic solutions, packaging machines, and commercial kitchen equipment. I brought in Mr. Malay Doshi, who is the founder and managing director of Barnsley Universal Inc., to share the steps he took to first get the company out in the market, the marketing strategies he implemented to grow his consumer base, his early challenges and how he combated them, the entrepreneurial learnings from his experience, and more. To start off, could you please explain what prompted you to establish ATCO and the motivation behind your endeavor?
Yes. Hi, Rishabh. First of all, thank you for inviting me to the CEO's Corner. Such a pleasure to be part of your podcast. Uh, yes, to answer your question, well, it always had been a childhood dream to be a self-made business person. Where, how, when, I never knew, but it was always a dream. And the motivation was very clear. It's basically the exponential growth potential. First of all, when you are young, you dream about a lot of things. There are no taxes on dreams. And then you think that the dreams can be fulfilled only when you are working for yourself, when the potential for the growth is very high. When you're working for somebody, maybe there are some limitations. So the idea is to always maximize the returns for my time and effort. And that's what was the main motivation. Incidentally, I ended up coming to Dubai in 2002, way back then. And I actually found this a good place to live and work in. And, that's how it all began.
That's really interesting. Now, when you were first starting out, what were the few steps you took to build your service and get it running into the market?
Firstly, you have to do the basics. When you want to start a business, it's a new land, so you have to follow the rules of the land. You form a company, you set up a few processes. You need to start by hiring people. So I started with the hiring 2 people, and then gradually move on. So as I said, yeah, those were the basics. And then the next thing was how you are able to reach everyone in the market. As I mentioned earlier, this was way back in 2002. It was not the social media age. Mobile phones had just barely started since 3-4 years. It was more of an middle internet age. So for us to be able to do marketing of our products with the limited resources that we had, it was the fax machine that used to be available back then. So there were 2 things, either emails and fax. Emails was not so much in use during that time in this particular region. So faxes was the main thing. And we used to send a lot of faxes to people introducing our company, the products that we offer. Obviously, we started with a single product then. And then, of course, we would visit the companies and start converting it into orders. We'd also go to Chamber of Commerce and, we get details of companies of the neighboring countries. Again, very less emails, more faxes, phone calls, keep on calling people. We started taking part in exhibitions. So idea was, basically increase the visibility of our team. Simultaneously, you build your team and processes as much as our funds would allow us to do.
How did you decide which products and technologies to stock and supply?
So we started with a single basic product. And then when we actually go into the market, meet customers, see the supermarkets, warehouses, the factories, we realize what other products are constantly required by customers. And we try and build around those products so that we are able to supply them to the customers. It was more of a gradual process, and we gradually started increasing the number of products that we deal with, and simultaneously the means to be able to service them.
After this initial phase of launching ATCO, what were some of the actions and strategies you implemented to grow your consumer base and make more sales?
So I think the main action and strategy was to increase the product range. Our idea was to try and become a one-stop shop for all the products and solutions within our business segment, so that when a new customer is starting his business, We can do the entire consultation and provide him with all the relevant product lines, etc. Alternatively, if it's an ongoing concern, then whatever products they require, they could be in touch with us. Of course, this was not overnight. It took, it's a gradual time, but this was the main idea. We also started partnering with the reputed brand names from the West. These were products which we did not already have in our kitty, already very much in demand in the market. So we tried being in touch with them as well and promoting their products in this market. So that also gave us a relevant boost.
How did you build trust with clients when you were still new as a company?
Building trust, well, there is no shortcut to this. This is an ongoing process and it's a long term process. You basically have to show up every time you are called. It's more of this develops more after you make the sale. So once the sale is done, your after sales service, your after sales calls, how you conduct yourself when your product has not actually performed up to the expectation. So that is what brings out the real character as to how you deal with the customer then. Further, rather than simply selling your product, you listen to the customer. What does he actually require? Basically, solving his problem with whatever we have, building relationships, meetings. Over the years, you meet them once, twice, thrice, and make it a consistent process. This, I think, helps you build trust with clients more and more.
So, what are some of the measures you take to implement effective after sales service? And how important have you found this to be in retaining customers?
Implementing effective after sales service. Here, I think you need to be able to invest. You have to invest properly in the right people. They are training vehicles so that they are able to go to the customer site every time they're called. Put relevant processes in place so that this entire process of the service or after sales service is smooth for the customer, and also it does not cause a loss to us. It supports sales. It also becomes a revenue generating division. Apart from that, ensuring timely stock of spares and consumables. So after sales service, according to me, this is the key. It is the deal breaker in the longer run. So it is, if you ask me that it's important in retaining customers, yes, this is one of the most important things for retaining customers.
Was there a turning point or specific deal that significantly accelerated your growth?
Um, I wouldn't say there was a specific turning point. I mean, as far as my experience is concerned over these 24 years, it's always been organic, gradual, nothing very dramatic. Yes, there were big deals on and off, those one-off big deals that are like, wow, they represent a big amount of your revenue for that year. There were those, but those were not like, they actually accelerated growth. It was more of doing the right thing, following the basic processes all the time.
Looking back when you were initiating and developing your company, what were the problems and difficulties you had, and how did you combat those issues?
So whenever you start a business, I think 90% of people would say that initially it will be the funds, the liquidity. This is what you need to manage. And in my time, it was the funds that were needed to maintain your inventory. Basically, only if you sell, when the customer asks for something, you need to have the products in place. And then when you sell more and more products, only then will you earn more money. But to get the products, you need money. So liquidity was one key thing, which, through bank financing, through credit negotiations with the vendors and customers, both, we have to overcome eventually. Apart from that, it's the people, to get the right people, training them, empowering them. Then third one was setting up processes. If the processes are not in place, an organization cannot work. So this was always a challenge because as you grow, the processes change. As more people come into the system, the processes need to change to be able for the company to become more efficient. So these were the challenges which we had to navigate as and when they arose, depending on the circumstances at that time.
What habits of yours do you feel have contributed most to your success?
I think I have been a good listener always. Rather than talking more of what I know, I'm always hungry to know more about people and their ideas, and I'm hungry to improve. So even a small idea from a 1 hour talk, if I can get a 1 minute of idea from somebody which helps me improve my operations and business, I'd be more than happy to take it and implement it as well. So that's one thing. Besides, I've always been a planner. Means I don't take impulsive decisions. I like to plan properly, thoroughly, and then execute without a second thought, execute fast and quick. Yes, you have to avoid impulsive decisions, emotional decisions. You need to have a sort of a calm and stable head to be able to deal with all kinds of situations and problems, because eventually, since you are the captain of the ship, the final problem or the final liability will come to you. You need to be able to handle those properly. So whether it's a habit or whether I have learned this over a period of time, I'm unable to say, but these are the things that definitely are required amongst most business leaders to at least maintain a certain ratio of success.
Thank you for sharing that. What are some of your future plans to expand ATCO?
So at the current stage, I think we have a reasonably good portfolio of products and business verticals. Uh, so now our idea is to expand geographically. So what we have done in Dubai, we would like to replicate in our neighboring countries, specifically Oman and Saudi Arabia, which are big markets in their own right. So the current, I would say the short to midterm focus is to leverage our expertise in these markets and grow on from there.
As you were growing out to where you are right now, what are some big mistakes you made throughout this journey that taught you some valuable lessons?
Um, I would not say mistakes, because when you are doing a business, you have to do something new. You have to try something new, what somebody else has not done. So in these situations, there are 10 new things you try, and maybe seven of them you succeed in, three of them you fail in. Now you can call those three failures mistakes, but yeah, those failures are the ones that teach you more. And then, in the next time you try and work around them, avoid those. But one thing I would like to say is that when you are running a business, the people or the human resource is a very, very important aspect. Actually speaking, the people run the business for you, and you need to be able to select the right people. You need to be able to set the right processes so that the people are working very well within them, and you need to empower those people. So you don't need to be a micromanager. Trust them, let them do their best. It will always turn out that they will do that particular job better than you can. So this is one lesson I would say is important for everybody if you wish to grow further in time. And secondly, as an owner, you always need to keep a tab on your finances, meaning it is very basic, but yes, you try and avoid as much debt as possible. You be mindful of unnecessary costs, because in the longer run, there will be various cycles in the market, ups and downs. You will be able to withstand all of those only if your financial condition is proper. And so it's like a discipline, and that needs to be really followed properly.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Malay, for being here and sharing your experiences. To all the listeners, I post frequently, so stay in the loop to learn new things that develop your business understanding. And for now, the CEO Corner is closed.